All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Hawashai, Ba'ashem Kodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of greatness stone. Shalom to the elect pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. With hope of receiving mercy of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Hawashai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahushua is the name of his only begotten Son. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites according to the prophecies that are written in the scriptures. I want to make it known that the RFID microchip is the charagma written about in Revelation 13, verse 16 on down, which is the MOTB. The miracle drug is the precursor to the charagma. Yahushua, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus, is about to make his return upon the earth to deliver his elect and to pour out judgment as it is written. But you have various signs and various prophecies were supposed to come to pass before the Lord's coming. And I want to declare some of these things. This is Matthew 24, and I'm going to start at verse 3. It says, And as he sat upon the mount of the Olives, the disciple came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And if you notice, right around the camps in GMS, these are the main topics that we're going through here. These end time prophecies, as is written in Genesis, Revelation 19 verse 10, say the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. So we are declaring prophecies as it is written in 2 Ezra 15. So we're supposed to speak in the ears of the Lord's people the words of prophecies. And these prophecies are going to come to pass before your eyes. And they are taking place even they are taking place even as we speak. So the disciple asked him, When shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? End of this era. That word world, they go back to the Greek word aeon, which means age. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, showing say you have people are going to rise up to come deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am a Mashiach, and shall deceive many. That's why you have so much philosophies now, because you have a lot of people that rise up and say they are the anointed. You have so much religions right now. And he shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that he be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And one of the main reasons why we know that the end is not yet is because the RFID microchip is not mandated right around the world, which is the MOTB. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And if you're not seeing that now, you're not looking. You're not looking. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these events that our Lord Yahushua declared are coming to pass now. And what these events signify, verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Because the Lord that bring the pain, the Lord that declare, say, I'm going to bring forth plagues upon the earth, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, and a lot of various ways I'm going to go about doing these things. So I want to go back to this clip showing you the state of the world right now. But before me even run this clip, let's look on some of these headlines. It said, world at war. Why the United States will fight China to defend Taiwan. You say, who will win if China invade Taiwan? We are in a debt trap. If you're dumb and trusting, you will be separated from your money. Who will take your money? That they need to find out. He said, this is how the Fed will seize your money in 2023. He just asked, who will take your money? So, let's run this clip.
Shaping our future, getting you ready for the events that are coming. The World Bank is warning that we can experience new shocks these could tip the global economy into a recession, or as some economists warn, a new Great Depression. They're currently slashing growth forecasts for most countries across our world. The World Bank says that the effects of monetary tightening, slowdowns in the United States of America, in the EU, and in China, as well as spillovers from current regional and global conflicts, have all clouded the outlook for growth. Now, that spillover that is being expected right now is that Russia, once finished with Ukraine, could move on to other European countries, or for Ukraine to fight back against a Russian invasion, we could see Poland and other NATO-friendly countries taking part in the Ukrainian war against Russia. Now, this is massive right here. The World Bank has forecasted a decrease in global growth for the year 2023 by almost 50%. This marks the worst outlook that has been seen in 30 years. The World Bank says that the global economy is perilously close at this moment in time from falling into a very dark place. In a sign of what is coming, container imports are said to be dropping off of a cliff at U.S. ports. Reports from open source intelligence operatives poring over satellite images and data on the front lines from Belarus show missile systems and other equipment that the Belarusian military is pulling forward to the front lines at its border with Ukraine. They're also seeing a division of 9 units of S-300, S-400 missile systems. What we are seeing now, one analyst says, is a finalization of readiness in preparation for conflict. I don't see this thing playing out any other way, he says, than Belarus entering into the Russian war and its fight against Ukraine, and then possibly other countries. The real test will be seeing just how the rest of the world, especially the Western world, I note, prepares for this. We recently read a briefing of the U.S. Air Force Rivet Joint Jake 11 being airborne over Poland. It was doing laps back and forth near the Belarusian border. And from what we are seeing here at Full Spectrum Survival, I feel like they were doing a reconnaissance mission, observing Russian buildups and the Belarusian military's preparation for war. You see, they are not going to come out and say that they have an expectation that Belarus is going to enter into this war, because they fear not being right on the timeline. But everybody in the military that is looking over this data says that is exactly what they see, what they're expecting. Task Force 59 is now fully operationally capable, says the 5th Fleet Commander Vice Admiral Brad Cooper, telling an audience of Navy personnel in Washington this week that the U.S. military has acknowledged Western allies have joined an allied experimental drone task force in the Middle East in readiness for a war in that region. Admissions.
So, we're here in my talk about it's not something where these leaders can say them no want to do. This is the Lord's doing. The Lord will bring these things to pass, yo. It's written in Proverbs 21 verse 1. It says, the king's heart is in the hands of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. And this is the Lord's desire in these last days. This is Joel 3 verse 9. He said, proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles, which are these Edens, England, Germany, Spain, France, Poland, Ukraine, Russia, the United States of America, Israel, that landmass there, where those small lads dwelling in the land, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Ethiopia, all these countries, yo. The Lord has said for what? Prepare war. China, Japan, India. Let's read it one more time. Proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshare into swords and your pruning hook into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So the money where them they use in a them economy, in agriculture, use that for develop new military arms to fight this war. This is the Lord's determination, yo. Assemble yourself, all ye heathens, and gather yourself together round about. Thither, cast thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. And the mighty ones represent the angels. Let the Eden be wakened and come up to the valley of Yehoshaphat, which that means Yahweh judge, yo. And that's out there in the Middle East, which is what they call the Levant. For there will I sit to judge all the Edens round about. And this is what the Lord is about to do, yo. Judge all these Edens for the mere fact that them touch the apple of his eyes. In Isaiah 34, verse 1, this is what the Lord said. Come near, ye nation, to hear. The Lord have a council, them have to declare, yo. That's why I'm rise up pastors in these last days to declare these things. Let the earth hear. Let me read this one more time. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He had utterly destroyed them, he had delivered them to the slaughter. And this is what the Lord is preparing to do, yo. Deliver all these nations to the slaughter. But this is hard to comprehend to most, because these things are not taught in the churches, yo. People understand that this is the determination of the Lord in these last days. It's written in Zephaniah 3 verse 8, therefore wait ye upon me, said the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. And who's the prey, yo? All these Edens run about. For my determination is to gather the nation that what the fuck? Let me go for this. Because I don't understand who's Yahweh Shemi Oshai. And he's the one that we're declaring to you. So determination there, go back to the Hebrew word mashapat, which means judgment, justice, ordinance, judgment. Alright. So going back to the precept, it says, therefore wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey, for my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, represent his hunger, yo, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. These things are not being taught in the churches. When you see the signs that were played upon the earth, this is what the Lord is about to do. So let's go back to this clip.
Show that the Netherlands, France, Germany have each sent military groups to join the task force's headquarters to work alongside U.S. personnel as well as UK and Canadian personnel. That's according to the fleet commander at the annual meeting. He made claims that we know Iran is going to love to hate, saying that the unit, which has been experimenting with commercially available unmanned drones to help the U.S. Navy surveil the region's waterways since 2021, is now fully operational and now fully ready to act. In December, the Navy's Surface Force Chief, Vice Admiral Roy Kitchener, approved a plan for the 5th Fleet to place junior officers, lieutenants, and lieutenant commanders in charge of squadrons of unmanned vessels pairing with manned ships in that area. When you start to connect 2 to 3 surface drones with an escort, Cooper says, you basically create a radar barrier of 100 miles wide. You're going to see everything. Cooper said data from the task force roughly 20 artificially intelligent linked sea drones can already be displayed on main screens at the 5th Fleet's Maritime Operations Center in real time. We see that Task Force 59 has already conducted exercises in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, Bahrain, Egypt, Kuwait, Qatar, and Australia. It's operating out of bases in Jordan and Bahrain. Cooper said that he expects additional basing hubs to be established in the region in the near future. As for the Middle East, they say that Iran is absolutely against what they're calling an encroachment on their sustainability and their territorial integrity, their survival as a country. Now, Israel is, of course, behind the task force, saying that there must be accountability for Iran's actions. There's a full understanding that Iran will attempt to build and deploy a nuclear weapons test in the near future. Israel is fighting against time to try and attack Iran before that happens, but they're walking a thin line of having enough justifiable evidence to pursue an attack. That means that Iran must be going against all allied nations' agreements on nuclear weapons proliferation, as well as the availability of information showing that Iran is trying to do so and perform these tasks. It has to have viable intelligence to be able to act. They're not quite there yet, but whether there is viable intelligence or not, we see Iran pushing forward with a nuclear weapons test and Israel trying to attack them before that becomes public. It's now being reported that the Navy is considering Starlink as well as other secondary options of layers to go on top of a mesh network. This will link the TF-59's drones, according to the 5th Fleet spokesperson Tim Hawkins, telling monitors across the world. The NATO chief has openly signaled that regardless of the process of bringing nations into the grouping of NATO, the applicants in question, that's Finland and Sweden, are already being treated as members of host areas. That's including NATO's Mutual Defense Clause, saying that it is inconceivable that NATO would not act if the security of Sweden or the security of Finland is threatened. In the last 2 years, Moderna, the proprietors of...
So, as you can see, as the Lord had said, proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles. Prepare war. The Lord telling us all these are the beginning of sorrows. And Esdras depict the beginning of sorrows so beautifully, in which we have to close on that note. This is 2nd Ezra 16. I'm going to start at verse 17. Because Esdras get the vision of the last days out. And things where Esdras say is not a lot of people see these things, as the Lord had declared in 2nd Ezra 8, verse 62. So him show these things unto him and a few like thee. This is 2nd Ezra 16, verse 17. He said, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Talking about the times of Jacob's trouble. The beginning of sorrows and great mourning. That's why within the scriptures, in Ezekiel 2, verse 9, the scriptures tell you what's written in there, yo. Lamentation, mourning, and woe, yo. The woe represents the destruction to come. He said the beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? And one of the reasons why these powers stand in fear is the type of weapon they have, yo. The nuclear capability of these various countries around the world. The Lord said, if him never short the days, no flesh would be saved. That's the capability of these weapons that these Edens have developed, yo. And that's the sword of Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai. So the scripture said, what shall I do when these evils shall come? And these evils is already sent, as is written in 2nd Ezra 16, verse 14. So the plagues are sent and shall not return backward. So this was edifying. With that, I want to say Kalalal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Raka Kwadash. Amen. Brothers, keep pushing. We're almost out of here, yo. We're just waiting for the devil to implement his chip system, and everything is just gonna move speedily, yo. So the Lord can bring forth his judgment upon the earth. With that, I want to say, Shalom.